Hey guys, it's Andrew Henderson here in Santiago, Chile. Got this really nice suite upgrade. Got a big bedroom back there, whole big bathroom space, lots of room to run around. A lot of people have been asking me, who've been seeing me on Instagram and elsewhere in social media, what the situation here is in Chile, what the situation is in South America in general, because I've been doing a big tour here through Latin America for Q4 2019. Started off in Mexico City, went to Playa del Carmen, where we're hosting our first live conference in about 5 years, Nomad Capitalist Live. You can click in the description if you want to check that out. Went to Bogota, finalized a property deal there, now here in Santiago. And it's been very interesting. You know, Mexico City saw a big taxi strike on Reforma. All the taxis, I mean, for as long as the eye can see, all the taxis took a strike to protest Uber. That was interesting, but very peaceful. A bunch of guys just sat in their car, no big deal. Went to Bogota, and so the news about a week ago, or even less now, was the protest there. What's happening? Well, is Mrs. H would say, oh, you know, same thing that was happening in Russia. They want to raise the pension age, and they want to change the minimum wage, and, you know, typical stuff. So people went out and protested. We were sitting in Bogota and we were watching the news, and you know, there's plenty of areas in Bogota where they're very safe and you really don't see any disruption. And we were watching the news as some of the areas in the south of the city were having some problems. But a day or two after that, we were down in La Candelaria and some areas around there, just doing a little bit of tourist stuff in the weekend. And people had destroyed some stuff, like bus stations or bus shelters, but nothing that was too crazy. There were some areas where there was a little bit of violence. A few people died, unfortunately, but overall seemed pretty peaceful. The one big day when it was an issue, we saw people running around, you know, clanging, making noise, but really, you know, not a big issue, nothing that was disruptive at all. What happened, perhaps in retribution, was that the government imposed a curfew on Bogota. So for some of the areas of the city, it was an 8 o'clock curfew, and then for the rest of us, it was 9 o'clock. And so we couldn't go out from 9 o'clock on. You couldn't buy alcohol. So you were just stuck. And what's interesting about Colombia, in my experience, and all the years I've been going there, is people there are a little bit too afraid, I think. A lot of the restaurants in the nice areas just shut down even after the curfew. Like the next day, the day after, they just shut down. And it seems like there's plenty of business. I mean, we went places that were really busy. Went to the Bogota Beer Company, super busy there in Park 93. But yet a lot of the nice restaurants just closed down. What's funny is every time I talk to people in Colombia, went down the other day, a couple weeks ago actually, to near the Four Seasons, Casa Medina in Bogota. And was looking for something, and it kind of became night, and I popped into a hotel, and I said, hey, you know, do you know where this is? And they said, oh, don't walk. I'm like, what, are we gonna be killed? And she's like, maybe. And what's always been interesting is how seriously they take things, because, you know, this is a great lesson. You know, if you grew up seeing things, you know, go poorly, if you grew up being scared, it's probably hard to get out of your mind, which is part of why, in a sad way, I like a lot of these countries in places like Eastern Europe where they've seen things go wrong and they don't want it to happen again. So I didn't really see much of an issue in Colombia. Now, got to Santiago yesterday. Mrs. H is going, I'm working today, Mrs. H is going out. She's going for a long walk through the city. And we're here in this Las Condes area, and everything's pretty nice and pretty peaceful, not many disturbances. None of the ATMs work, by the way. I've never had a problem with my foreign cards, and I tried every card. It literally just gives you a 404 message when you try and use the ATM. And so she went for a long walk. Everything here is fine, but a lot of stuff did close, again, for the protest. She goes for a walk, and she messages me. She says, I literally just got stuck in a protest where they were using tear gas on people. And what she said, now, fortunately she made it out, but it was really kind of freaky. We can talk about it now, but it was really, in the moment, it's like, holy cow, like, how are you getting out of there? She's like, I had to duck into a cafe. I didn't get a SIM card yet. I had to beg to use their Wi-Fi. You must make a purchase. She's like, fine, I'll buy whatever you want. Just let me get in the Wi-Fi and get the heck out of here. And so What she said was interesting is people were not violent against each other. They're just hanging out. She says she went for a 6 or 7 kilometer walk. She's like, everything is spray painted besides for one government building. There's graffiti everywhere. This area is fine, but she's like, everywhere else it's been trashed. People have broken things. You've got a bunch of boarded up fronts to buildings now. And I saw a couple boarded up fronts around here in this neighborhood, but not so bad. Anyway, she said, it's funny. She said, a lot of these people, they just were like ready for a protest. They have masks. They have like their bandanas over their mouths. They have the eye masks. She said people were selling all kinds of stuff. They're selling masks in the street. They're selling the anonymous masks. She said they're selling vegan burgers. She's like, this was like a really millennial thing. Like, screw the man. Let's raise taxes on the rich to pay for us so we don't lose some of our perks. And it's just like a millennial kind of party here. So she made it out, and she's like, wow, it's just like so many areas in this place are just not in good shape. So that's what I've seen. I will advise if I find anything else. Here's what interests me about this. The game is changing. I recently hosted a webinar. Don't do many webinars, but I hosted a webinar. I talked about the trends, 5 different trends you're going to see in the next year in this nomad capitalist world. Banking and citizenship and investments and all that. The trend that always stays the same is that the goalposts are moving, always. And I've been working on a theory for a while now. I haven't talked about it because I've really been trying to study it and think about it. Where I said, if your country becomes a US visa waiver program country, it's downhill from there. Chileans have a great passport. They can go to the US, they can go to Canada, Australia, New Zealand, the UK, Europe, Russia. What an incredible passport. And so a lot of people for years had come down here and they'd done the residence thing. It's a little far away from my taste, but if you like to stay in one place, it wasn't a bad deal. Here's what's interesting. I do think that once your country gets visa-free access to the US, there's something that changes. Just coming in last night, felt a bit less free. Bogota, for example, Mexico City, they do checks. They do, the dogs that sniff your bags, and they do different stuff. That's kind of a Latin America thing. They got the big meaty guys in the airport, the National Guard standing by. You even see that in like Costa Rica and places like that. But there's just something here. It just seems a little less, it just seems a little bit more of that developed world, like, here's how we're going to do things. I can't quite put my finger on it, but I've thought for a while, having studied Chile, seeing the direction the country's going, I think there's a point where a country like this jumps the shark. I've been saying for a long time, Colombia, if you look at the Heritage Foundation, for example, their rankings of economic freedom, it's been ranked number 2 in Latin America. We'll see what happens with this new administration and trying to undo some of the deals and all that, but is there a possibility in the next decade that Colombia overtakes Chile? I don't know. I think that, people get too comfortable when things, again, U.S. visa waiver program. It's like the Big Mac Index. It's a great way to tell that your country is on the map now, but maybe you're getting a little too comfortable. Colombia, they don't seem too comfortable, and I love Colombia. They almost seem too uncomfortable, which maybe is a good thing. So the goalposts are always moving. Will Chile be a place that continues to thrive? I don't know. That's one of the things that we're going to be talking about at our live conference. I haven't talked about this on YouTube, by the way, yet. I'm sure a lot of you have seen it because you're on our email list, you're on our social media. We are having our first ever live conference in 5 years, Nomad Capitalist Live. And we're going to be talking about what's changed for 2020 and beyond, because I've got a full team now of 22 people. Many of them research, strategize, and execute offshore plans. We know what's happening in the real world. We see what's changing. Just got some news 2 days ago. More stuff changing. More governments changing their laws. More things that aren't working. Found one of our banks. They're starting to close accounts. So what are going to be the trends for 2020? If you want to learn the trends, and if you want to hang out with me, if you want to hang out with my team, if you want to hang out with some of the people on my network, including some of those that you've seen on YouTube, some of the real estate people on my network, and others, then check out Nomad Capitalist Live. We've got about a week and a half left until we've got a $1,000 bonus. You get a free video. That's going away in the next week and a half. We've got fewer than, I think, 40 hotel rooms left. We have free hotel rooms. It's an $1,100 plus value 4 free nights at the Grand Hyatt in Playa del Carmen. So your hotel is covered by me, but I only have so many rooms. The Hyatt maybe book a bunch of rooms. I booked them. We gave a bunch of them away at launch. We don't have that many left. So if you want to get a free hotel room, book now. Super early bird special is not going to be around for that much longer. Save $500 a ticket. Bring your spouse or a friend for 60% off. So there's a lot of deals going on. Nomadcapitalist.com/live. We'll put the link in the description. If you want to know what's going on, the latest, I don't do these videos very often, but I wanted to talk about this because I've just been in 3 of the countries that have been on the radar. But we are going to be discussing this for 4 full days. Nomad Capitalist Live, September 2020, Playa del Carmen. And I just realized I never talked to you guys here on YouTube about this. We'll be talking more about it. We're also negotiating right now with 3 big name speakers, names that everyone would know. And we're going to get 1 or 2 of them to come in. Some of you are going to join us for a VIP dinner. 10 of you are going to be with me and some of these big names that we'll be announcing. By the way, when we announce the big names, the price will go up because they are not, there's a big commitment to get these guys to come. So if you're interested, check that out. For those of you who haven't heard about it, we've got a couple grand in bonuses that's going to be going away in the very near future. So reserve your seat and we'll hope to see you there. So that's an update on the situation in South America. If you'd like to hear more of this, leave a comment below. Want to know questions or comments that you have.